There is hope. Yes, there is hope, family. In this global crisis that we are in now, everything that's happening with the tariff wars, everything that's happening with the war in general, you have to believe that there is still hope. Everything is changing for a reason. Everything is changing super fast, but you have to realize that it's not going to wait on you. So you got to step out on faith and take the steps that's necessary, right? So in this video, we're going to give you 5 tips if you would like to leave the West before the end of 2025. Stay tuned.
So, tip number one is that you need to know about these new digital nomad visas. You need to know about being an online consultant, an online contractor, a graphic designer, a writer, a marketing specialist, a software engineer. You need to get these contracts online, okay? This is what it comes down to. Being an online service provider is the name of the game. I remember in 2020 when that thing happened that everybody knows about, the world was shut down and all of that stuff. Our business exploded. Not only our business, but everybody in our industry in the online business world exploded because guess what? Everybody was at home on their couch. They had lots of time. Even if they didn't necessarily have lots and lots of money, they had the time to invest in watching videos and learning about content marketing strategies and learning about freelancing and starting their own business. Because here's the thing, even if you've been laid off, I just saw a video yesterday talking about a new round of tech layoffs for sales development reps. And I'm like, man, if only these people knew that you can package up that sales knowledge, serve it to small businesses like ours, a digital marketing agency, a design agency, a law firm that actually wants to get better with sales in their firm. You can package these services up, and this is what you need to do in this economy. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, you're going to have to invest. You're going to have to read books. You're going to have to do the work. But at the end of the day, you're going to be able to live a freedom based life. So understand that there is opportunity available through freelancing and being a service provider with a lot of these different companies that are out here, small and large firms alike need content creators, social media marketers, writers, graphic designers, service providers, sales development reps, even sales engineers who can come in and consult the business and help the team do better with sales. These are some of the things that we have seen work in this online industry. So if you've been laid off, have hope. There's still hope, okay? Now, the next point, we're going to talk about digital nomadism and some of these digital nomad visas that are out here across the world, because again, nobody is really telling you about this stuff, but we're going to have to talk about it. I don't know if you are aware, but the United Arab Emirates, i.e., the city of Dubai and the nation as a whole, have come out with a visa for content creators. Yes, a multiple year type of digital nomad visa, because here's the thing that most people don't understand. Even in a recession, all businesses that are still surviving, you're mostly going to find like finance firms, tax relief companies, education consulting companies. Those are two industries that aren't going to be impacted too much with the global recession. And so understand that these businesses are going to need people like you to come in, but you need to be skilled. So if you're going to be a writer, you have to be excellent in what you do. If you're going to be in graphic design, you need to be excellent. If you're going to be a service provider, be excellent at everything that you set your hands to. And then these companies are going to want to put you on contract. And then before you know it, you're going to have 10 different contracts. I'm speaking from experience, right before you make an international move. And yes, it works in a recession economy. How do I know? We did this in 2019, 2020. Business exploded. It worked exponentially and catapulted us to where we are today, serving these high caliber firms across the world. So understand that there are digital nomad visas out there. Now you can also take Mauritius, Seychelles, for example. They have like workation digital nomad permits that you can use and get renewable visa access for multiple years. But then you also have countries like Namibia. They do like a short 6-month digital nomad visa. And again, this is for the skilled entrepreneur. This is for someone that has already launched their business. They have their business based in the States. Not only is it an LLC, a sole proprietorship, but you have revenue flowing when you go and submit these permits. You have to have your documentation together. Your business needs to be off the ground. You need to prove that there's actually demand for what you were doing and that you align with that specific economy, okay? Cape Verde also has a similar visa. You want to check it out because in times of global crisis, I want you to know that there's still abundance even in a recession. There's still abundance in trade wars. It's just you need to understand the market and see where the pivot is going. Online skills, online business consulting is the way to go. Even if you have a brick and mortar, you want to add an online aspect to it, okay? Because at the end of the day, this economy is crazy, it's volatile, so you're going to want to make sure that you have your business diversified and not just, oh, I have a brick and mortar, but what are you doing online? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have a podcast? Can people binge your content on your email list? Where can people learn about your process? This is how you survive in a global crisis and an economic recession.
Yes. So as we are speaking now, the dollar is falling, right? So that should tell you that you should be really thinking about other currencies. You should really think about what research can I do to sustain myself in this near future. If the dollar is falling and other weaker currencies is getting stronger, I think you really need to change your mindset. You really need to realize what is happening in each country's economy, right? What is the strengths in each country's economy? For me, I will always tell people learn how to invest, learn how to leverage your money, learn how to do research. If you are not trying to do research, if you are not trying to educate yourself, as this day stands, right, you're going to be left behind. So, we are coming on here to let you guys know hey, this is something that you really need to think about and you really need to take into consideration because things are changing all across the world, all across the globe, however you want to say it, right? So, you have to be ahead. You have to understand what is next. This whole financial system is going to flip soon. And if you are not prepared, you are going to be left with the masses, right? So, financial system, right? Right now, you have to kind of go through the US dollar to trade any type of currency. Other countries do not like that. They just want to have their own currency. So here in Mauritius, they want to have their ruby, and just say they're in South Africa, they want to have their South African rand. They want to trade in their own currency internationally, right? So when you think about it, that makes sense. To me, everything is just coming back to common sense. It really didn't make sense to have a Mauritian ruby go through a dollar just to go to a South African rand. That doesn't make sense. So right now, what we're talking about is the ISO 222 coins. This is going to be the new financial system. This is cryptocurrency. This is tokenization. This is blockchain. This is stable coins that I'm talking about. I know it's a lot of things that you have to know when it comes to cryptocurrency. This is why we talk about it pretty much every day because we see it happening right in front of our eyes, and most of the world does not know about it. Less than 10% of the world knows about this. So if you are in this space right now, you are very, very early. So what's going to happen is people are not going to buy it at 5 cents. They're going to wait until it goes to $10 and say, "Oh, this thing is happening." For me, that don't make sense. It's better to buy when it's low and sell when it's high, right? So that's just a little crash course for you. But ISO 222 coins, this involves XRP, this involves XLM, this involves XDC, this involves HBAR, this involves ADA. So you each one of these that I'm talking about has a purpose, right? XRP is currency to currency. XLM is border to border. XDC is real government stuff. H bar is more like real estate and things like that. So when you really do your research, you start to understand like, things are changing and it's changing fast. So please, family, I'm really trying to get people to understand that hey, if you are behind the scenes investing in this now, you're going to be good. But if you wait, you're going to be right there with everybody else standing in line trying to buy trying to buy these coins at $10, trying to buy these coins at $20, try to buy the coins at 1,000, 2,000, because this is something that's happening and it's not going to wait on you. So it's still here for you, but you just got to take that first step and do the research.
Oh my goodness, that was such a good breakdown. And I always hear you when you're in your meetings talking with clients, teaching technical analysis and how shocked they are at this industry because at the end of the day, things are changing extremely fast. Check out the link in the description if you would like to learn the skill of technical analysis, which is the skill related to training. So you don't have to throw money at the wall. I know y'all have been through this. We've been through this too. When you don't really understand the market, when you have not mastered technical analysis, you will sit there and throw money. You'll send some money through Robinhood, whoever it is, and you're like, oh, let me just buy this. Let me buy this crypto. And then next thing you know, it crashes and you're like, what just happened? Well, the issue was that you did not have the full knowledge and expertise behind the skill. So you're going to want to check out the description to check out the Wealth with Trading consultation because he is teaching people how to read the charts. It is a language. The same way we're speaking English right now, there's a language and a skill set behind not losing money in the markets, okay? Now, let's get to our final two topics. We need to talk about healthcare and anti-corruption, okay? Because this is big. Knowing we come from the West is a very corrupt society. They just, just mask it a little bit. They have, certain beautiful laws and certain ways of doing things to make it look like it's not corrupt behind the scenes. But we all know, if you're an American, if you're from the UK, if you're from Canada, if you're from Holland, we all know the West is doing some shady and shisty stuff as they have been for a multitude of years. I mean, we can just look back at the Korean War. We can look back at the Vietnam War. We can look back at the Iraqi War. We can look at 9/11. We can look at a lot of different things to show us these shisty movements. But the West isn't the only area on the planet that does corruption and does shisty things. These things are rampant in certain countries in Africa and Asia. And so you're going to want to choose, especially if you're coming to Africa, a country that is on the least corrupt index. Yes, this is an index that exists. Check it out. I'm telling you right now, me as a wife, mother, entrepreneur, an investor, a business owner, I would never live in any country that is not in the top 10 list of least corrupt African countries. Okay. So countries like Rwanda, Seychelles, Botswana, Mauritius, Namibia, I believe South Africa isn't too bad either. Ghana is on the least corrupt list. Senegal, shouts out to Senegal because look, if I was on the West Coast, we may have been in Senegal, okay? But Senegal, they are visa free for Americans and they're on the anti corruption list and they have a growing technology hub. And I've seen a track record of serious business women, Black women entrepreneurs who have gone to Senegal. Their businesses are increasing rapidly. Senegal is one that you can definitely check out if you are still in the States, okay? Now, my next point, we need to talk about healthcare. Okay, I used to work in healthcare. So I have insider access to exactly how the system works in the West. And I quickly realized in school, it's like, oh, you guys are scamming people big time with some of these different drugs that you give certain cancer patients. Like, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but essentially there's too much corruption that's happening in healthcare. Okay. And what you want to do, you want to come to a society. This is why medical tourism is so big. I know Kenya is huge on medical tourism. Mauritius is now huge on medical tourism as well. You can go to a different country and receive better medical care than what you would receive in the US. And when I say better, I mean they're not being racist, they're not being evil. The doctors are actually giving you your results and walking you through the process, giving you herbal wellness remedies, telling you from a wellness functional provider scope of practice what you can do to aid yourself in healing. And then obviously the cost of living and the cost of healthcare in these countries is much cheaper. Okay, I've given birth to two children abroad, paid in cash, very, very affordable. Back in the States, they slammed us with a couple $1,000 hospital bill to give birth. It's not like that in Africa. It's not like that in certain countries in Asia. You can pay for your healthcare outright. You don't have to pay for all of this nonsense. They want to tack on tens of thousands for an ultrasound. I had an ultrasound out here a few weeks ago and it was literally like $40, literally $40. And so you can come to an economy with a 60% lower cost of living, especially in a global crisis. Your main leverage, since the economy is so volatile, is to one, be in a place that has a lower cost of living. Two, it needs to be anti-corrupt. Three, you need to run your own business and your own enterprise. Four, you need to go somewhere where the healthcare system is adequate so that you can feel comfortable in your clean hospital facilities. Even Aga Khan out in Tanzania, they are a fabulous hospital. Aga Khan, they are in South Africa, Tanzania, and Kenya. Okay. And so there are great healthcare systems out there if you know how to do the research, or if you know somebody who has been to those and can refer you to those places. All right. So this is your time. This is an opportunity. I don't want you to be too stressed out during this global famine. I don't want you to be too stressed out during this global recession. Okay. I want you to start thinking about what are my options, because you have international options. You have different things that you can look into, look at your expertise, take inventory of what you already do, package it as a service, and then go live your best life wherever you choose, because America, the West, the UK, Canada, wherever else in the West is not the end all be all. The rest of humanity, the rest of the 96% of humans on the planet outside of America are thriving and doing just fine without that Western system. Shalom, shalom. I'll talk to you in the next video.